Flying is usually a smooth experience, right?
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing?
I mean, who doesn't appreciate a calm, uneventful flight? But every now and then, turbulence hits so hard that it makes you wonder, how are we even staying in the air?
The captain said that one of the blades on the left engine was missing.
The plane is going down, spiraling into the ocean.
Today, let's look at the most unbelievable plane turbulence caught on camera. 1. Flight attendant, beverage cart smashes into the ceiling during violent turbulence. In a video captured by Marietta Basha, severe turbulence turned a regular ALC Airlines flight into a scene right out of a disaster movie. A stewardess strolled down the aisle. Cart in tow when out of nowhere, the Boeing 737 got rocked by turbulence so fierce it could shake your soul. It wasn't just a little bump. We're talking about a major upheaval that sent the stewardess and her bar cart flying up to the ceiling. Yes, the ceiling. Cups, drinks, you name it, all hurled through the air like it was the end of the world. And crash. Down came everything. Stewardess, cart, beverages, right onto the passengers. It was chaos, with one woman even praying right there in the middle of the aisle. 10 folks, including Basha's own husband, had to be rushed off to Basel Hospital as soon as they hit the ground. 2. Hawaii plane crash caught on tape. There they were, Ferdinand Puentes and 8 others in the skies over Hawaii's Molokai Island, cruising until sirens blared. Everyone knew it was game over, they were going down. But did Ferdinand freak out? He whipped out his GoPro and started filming the whole thing. The snaps he got? Nothing short of epic. Inside the doomed plane, beneath the ocean, you name it, as they waited to be rescued off Kalaupapa. This wasn't just another flight, but a blockbuster in the making. Tragically, amidst the chaos, Loretta Fuddy, Hawaii's very own Department of Health director, who once confirmed President Obama's birth record, didn't make it. The rest? Well, one swam back to shore like it was no big deal. A heroic chopper from Maui Fire Department scooped up 4, and the Coast Guard heroes flew in to save 3 more. A month later, Ferdinand was still shaken, feeling like he was stuck in some wild dream. His camera caught it all, the plane kissing the ocean goodbye and sinking, and even a chilling shot underwater showing the ghostly plane. Ferdinand, being the waterman he was, had to float with an extra seat cushion because his clothes dragged him down. Walking away from the crash, Ferdinand's life got a whole new vibe. He wasn't sweating the small stuff anymore. Every day was a gift. That crash, it changed him, deep down.
And everything that you remembered in your past, your whole life just goes in front of you.
3. Passengers scream and cry as flight battered by powerful storm. A bunch of folks jetted off to Mallorca from Alicante, all set for some fun under the sun. But what they got instead was a Skyhigh roller coaster ride thanks to some hardcore turbulence. The winds were whipping up over 75 miles per hour. Back on the ground, the storm was chucking sun lounges around at hotels and even got a cruise ship to slam into a freight vessel near Palma.
This is a reminder that this is not a drill, this is a real event.
Among these high flyers was Estela Orts Martinez, a 25-year-old dancer who decided to share the chaos live on Instagram. The plane was shaking like a leaf. The pilot was up front, just doing his thing, keeping cool without a word. Finally, when it was all said and done, Estela hit up Instagram again, tipping her hat to the pilot for his ice-cold nerves, grateful to have her feet back on solid ground. 4. pilot of shaking plane asks passengers to pray. An AirAsia X-Jet, packed with 359 souls, was cruising from Perth to Kuala Lumpur. All smooth sailing, right? Wrong. Just 90 minutes in, a massive bang rocked the Airbus A330, and it started shaking like it was in the middle of a dance-off over the Indian Ocean. For 2 whole hours, this bad boy was shimmying and shaking like it was stuck inside a giant washing machine. Can you imagine? Those on board sure felt the terror, and it was all caught on video. People freaking out, the captain rallying everyone to pray and stick together.
Our survival depends on your cooperating.
But hold up. They made it back to Perth by 10 a.m., wheels touching down like a boss. Passengers clapped it up, showing mad respect for the captain, keeping it cool, real hero vibes. The welcome committee? Fire and emergency crews just in case. Turns out all was good. No one was hurt. AirAsia? They came out saying safety was their jam, making sure everyone was all right, and shuffled off to where they needed to be. Five. Heavy turbulence scares passengers on Etihad flight. May 2016 turned into a real roller coaster ride for passengers on Etihad flight EY 474 from Abu Dhabi to Jakarta. Just 45 minutes out from landing, the Airbus A330-200 hit some gnarly turbulence that left the cabin a mess and passengers in a world of hurt. It was chaos in the skies as storage bins busted open and folks were tossed around. Out of everyone on board, 31 passengers and a crew member got banged up pretty badly. By the time they touched down, 9 of these thrill seekers and 1 crew member needed more than just a band-aid. They were rushed straight to the hospital. Broken bones, you bet. The rest got patched up right at Soekarno-Hatta International Airport. And boy, did things get hectic. Oxygen masks dropped, and the plane was shaking like a leaf. Talk about a shaky return from a pilgrimage, as some passengers were just returning from Saudi Arabia. Etihad, usually on top of their game alongside big names like Qatar Airways and Emirates, had to cancel the next flight back to Abu Dhabi. But they stuck around to help out those affected by the shakeup. Despite this wild ride, their safety record's still pretty solid. 6. The passenger captures the moment the flight was told to brace for impact.
You will need to be seated in a brace position for landing.
It was January 2018, and just when everyone was settling in, a mechanical hiccup turned their world upside down.
Place your face in your lap.
So what was the move? Emergency landing all the way to Dallas, Texas. The attendants were hitting them with the brace for impact routine.
Brace.
Folks were crossing themselves, eyes wide, hearts racing. But let me tell you, these passengers, cool as cucumbers in a deep freeze, all thanks to some top-tier cooperation. Steve Ramstel, not just any Joe but a pilot himself, whipped out his phone and started rolling. He captured the whole shebang right there on camera and put it up on Facebook so the world could see how these airborne troopers nailed it with no sweat.
No need for alarm.
The touchdown at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport was smooth sailing. Everyone was safe, no scrapes or bruises. Hats off to the crew of Mesa Airlines for keeping it chill in the chaos.
Being calm, and we'll get back to you here as soon as we know more. Thank you.
7. Passenger opens emergency exit door during flight. A plane full of passengers just moments from touching down, and what did one daredevil do? He decided it was showtime and popped open the emergency door. This all went down on an Asiana Airlines flight cruising towards Daegu from Jeju. Just as they were about 700 feet off the ground, this guy yanked the emergency exit handle. Air was whooshing in, and folks were scrambling. Some brave souls tried to wrestle him away from the door, but nope, it flung open, and the cabin turned into a wind tunnel. On board were a bunch of teenage athletes pumped for a sporting bash in Ulsan, but instead of pre-game jitters, they got a mid-air scare fest. A dozen got nicked up, a few even struggled to catch their breath, and some were hospital-bound. The scene? Total mayhem, people passing out, flight attendants on a desperate hunt for doctors. The plot thickened with our door opener, a man in his 30s, now chilling in cuffs at Daegu International. His reason? It's still a mystery. He even tried to take a leap out of the plane, like it was some kind of action movie. Talking to him didn't clear much up, so the cops were digging deeper. Aviation whiz Jeffrey Thomas said technically that door shouldn't have budged mid-flight with all that air pressure, but it did, and boy, did it stir up some drama. Eight. Hero pilot tackles man that assaulted flight attendant.
You gotta try harder!
This guy right out of Kentucky wasn't playing by any rules when he landed at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Just as the plane touched down, he was already up, phone out, capturing his own mini revolt against sitting tight like everyone else. So there he was, strutting down the aisle like it was a runway show, even though the flight attendant was all like, "Please take a seat, sir." But our man only perched on the armrest for a hot second before he was up again, storming up the aisle, rallying the troops for his solo sit-down strike.
Move. Take a seat. Move. Take a seat.
But the crowd wasn't buying what he was selling. No takers for his rebellion, so he doubled down, solo style. And when the pilot stepped in, oh, it was on. He turned up the heat, not backing down an inch. Rewind the tape, and there our scene stealer was trying to bulldoze through the flight attendant, who ended up on the deck. But hold up, here comes the hero pilot, laying down the law.
Sit down. Sit down. Enough. You don't put your hands on my flight attendant.
And just like that, our headline-making passenger finds himself slapped with not one, not two, but 3 misdemeanors: assault, communicating threats, and being intoxicated in public.
And whatever you do is going on Facebook.
9. Deadly turbulence hits Singapore Airlines flight. May 2024 got real when a Singapore Airlines flight from London turned into a roller coaster ride of terror. Midway through chowing down over Myanmar's Irrawaddy Basin, the plane hit the shakes hard, forcing an emergency detour to Bangkok. Items were zipping past like shooting stars, and the Boeing 777-300ER was wrecked inside. Think smashed overhead compartments and oxygen masks doing the hangman from the ceiling. It was nothing short of a blockbuster movie scene, but way less fun for the folks on board. Among the 211 thrill seekers and 18 crew, a 73-year-old British dude, Jeff Kitchen, wasn't just shaken. He ended up checking out for good, suspecting a heart condition got the best of him. Andrew Davies, a fellow passenger, jumped into hero mode, giving old Jeff CPR for a solid 20 minutes. But alas, it was curtains for him. Post-mayhem, the Samativej Srinacarin Hospital in Bangkok became the pit stop for patching up at least 71 banged-up passengers, including 6 who got the worst of the free fall. The rest of the nearly 200 survivors camped out, waiting for another shot at reaching Singapore. Finally, a rescue flight scooped up 131 of them, continuing the journey. And amidst the turmoil, Singapore Airlines CEO Goh Chun Fong was all about support, promising help to the passengers and their families. 10. Dramatic video shows airline passengers' crew flung into the air during plunge. An Air China flight turned into a wild rodeo ride high in the sky, with severe, clear air turbulence throwing a real curveball at everyone on board. Flight CA 1524 was just cruising along from Shanghai to Beijing, when out of the blue, at a whopping 35,000 feet, it took a nosedive. And as for that clear air turbulence, or CAT as the experts call it, it's that sneaky kind that hits you hard when you least expect it, up high where the sky's clear. 11. Woman swears at flight crew, throws bottle at passenger.
Because my dog was on my lap.
This lady was on a Delta flight from Atlanta to the Big Apple. She had her furry buddy on her lap, all cozy and stuff. But then bam! The flight crew stepped in and told her that was a no-go. What happened next? Well, she lost it and completely flipped her lid.
Because you couldn't let my dog sit on my
Filmed
lap.
on October 12th, 2022. This wild episode got captured and plastered all over Reddit's public freakout. Someone's wife was on that flight, and boy, did they get a show. This woman, right in the middle of the plane, started chucking a water bottle at the flight attendants and even hurled it all the way to the back, hitting some poor, unsuspecting passenger. And the words coming out of her mouth? Nothing short of a sailor's vocab. She was screaming, "We are about to fight then,"
No, honey, we're about to fight then.
despite the attendants trying to cool things down, promising her a refund and all. But nope, she wasn't having any of it. She told everyone she had to wait another 12 hours to get where she was going, and that just cranked up her meltdown to full blast. Eventually, they got her off the plane, but guess what? No cuffs, no charges, nothing. The Atlanta cops showed up, and everyone was like, "Nah, let's just let it slide." And just like that, the lady who tried to turn Delta into her personal drama stage learned that sometimes you just gotta keep it cool, or you'll end up internet famous for all the wrong reasons. 12. Insane turbulence during Frontier flight. Frontier Airlines Airbus, a 320-200 rocking the skies with its tag N328FR, was cruising from Minneapolis to Denver when, out of nowhere, turbulence hit like a scene from a thriller movie while they were descending towards Denver. Yeah, it was some serious shakes, and guess what? A flight attendant didn't just get a scare, she ended up with a broken leg. That's right, the kind of shake that turns a routine flight into a news headline. The bird touched down safe in Denver, but not without its share of drama. The FAA was all over it, calling it an accident, wrapping it up with a report on April 25th, 2020. They pinned it down to some sneaky, isolated convective turbulence.
Unfortunately, we went through an area of severe turbulence there.
13. 2 passengers fighting on plane before takeoff. Things got wild on an all-Nippon Airways flight from Tokyo to LA. This wasn't your average quiet flight across the Pacific. Nope, it turned into an all-out brawl caught right on someone's cell phone camera. We're talking fists flying across the aisles. 2 guys just couldn't keep their cool. One of them, a dude in his 40s, decided it was a good idea to throw punches, not just at another passenger, but he went so far as to hit an ANA employee too. ANA wasn't having any of it. They slapped the safety threat label on him faster than you could say takeoff and booted him off the plane. 14. Woman dragged off Southwest Airlines flight. Southwest had a wild ride from Baltimore to Los Angeles the other night, featuring not one, but 2 dogs on board.
Come on, lady, let's go.
One as an emotional support animal, and the other as a regular pet. Now, here's where the drama kicked. A lady on the flight claimed she had a deadly pet allergy. Major problem, right? But guess what? She had no medical certificate to show for it, nada. Southwest's got a rule. No certificate, no fly if it's that serious. The crew bent over backward, trying to explain this to her, but she wasn't having any of it and flat out refused to leave her seat.
Don't touch me!
law enforcement stepped in when things went from 0 to 100 real quick. It was all caught on cell phone video. This woman being dragged down the aisle, kicking and screaming, even claiming the cops ripped her pants. She yelled she could walk, but the officers weren't taking chances and kept dragging her. Other passengers chimed in, some urging her to just go with it, others calling out the cops for being too rough. In the end, Southwest was all apologies, really bummed about how everything went down. They reached out to her, trying to smooth things over. 15. Frightened passengers on diverted JetBlue flight revolt. A JetBlue flight was zooming from Cancun to JFK International Airport, right? These folks were all set to touch down when Mother Nature had other plans. Not once, not twice, but 4 times. The pilots had to yank up the landing because of some gnarly storm action.
4 times already.
Finally, they had to bail on JFK and head over to Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey. The passengers, already fried from the ride, got the news that they were stuck on the tarmac and couldn't deplane. They were caged in that metal bird with no escape. The folks were livid, demanding to break free, but no dice from JetBlue. And what was JetBlue's peace offering? A measly $50 off the next flight. Seriously? As if the airline hadn't already been skating on thin ice.
Careful, we just want to get off.
Back in March 2022, they left a bunch of passengers stranded on a plane in Massachusetts after the crew just clocked out and vanished for the night. No help, no nothing.
Everybody wants to get off. Who want to get off?
16. Flight experiences, heavy turbulence over the Andes. Check out this wild video that made the rounds. It showed a heart-stopping ride on a flight to Ushuaia, Argentina. The drama unfolded as they cruised over the Cordillera de Andes, and boom. They hit a rough patch. The passengers were gripping their seats, thinking this could be the big one. Now, the Andes, stretching a massive 8,500 kilometers along South America's spine. Right up against the Pacific. These giants, with peaks soaring 3,000 to 4,000 meters and Aconcagua peaking around 7,000 meters, were notorious for cooking up some serious turbulence. Thanks to the mountain wave phenomenon, which is especially notorious between Chile and Argentina, things could get pretty dicey. And it wasn't just talk. History told us these mountain waves were no joke. Cast your mind back to 1953, when a Spanish airline, Aviaco, got caught in one. It wasn't pretty. The plane crashed in Spain, all because of these wild weather conditions stirred up by the mountain wave. So, the next time you're flying high and the ride gets bumpy, remember, the mountain waves are playing their tricks. 17. 11 hospitalized after Delta flight hit severe turbulence. Delta Flight 175 was just cruising from Milan to Atlanta when, boom, out of nowhere, severe turbulence hit hard. Just like that, 11 folks found themselves heading straight to the hospital. Passengers and crew members alike didn't see it coming. This all went down as the plane was flying about 40 miles northeast of Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. The crew knew it was no joke and called it severe turbulence. 18. Flight attendants praised for breaking up a fistfight hundreds of feet in the sky. There they were, soaring from Taipei to San Francisco on EVA Air, Flight BR-08, cruising at altitude but not above some high-altitude drama. It all kicked off 3 hours into their 12-hour journey when one passenger couldn't handle another's coughing fit. Trying to escape the germs, he made a move for another seat. But surprise, it was already taken. The next thing you know, it's fists up and go time, but it's not on these flight attendants' watch. As the flight landed in San Francisco as planned, those 2 troublemakers got a not-so-warm welcome from the cops, thanks to a heads-up from the pilot. And while throwdowns in the clouds aren't everyday news, they're not unheard of. Which one left you on the edge of your seat? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more gripping content like this, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
And whatever you do is going on Facebook.